In the summer of 1981, in the tiny town of Skidmore, Missouri, a man named Ken McElroy was shot to death in broad daylight while sitting in his pickup truck. There were between 30 and 46 witnesses standing right there on the street watching it happen.
That's a lot of eyes. The cops must have had handcuffs on the shooter before the sun went down.
That's the thing. To this day, not a single person has ever been charged. Every single witness, excluding his wife, claimed they saw absolutely nothing.
How does an entire town catch collective amnesia at the exact same moment? We're talking about a murder, not a magic trick.
It wasn't a magic trick, Jordan. It was a pact. They decided as a community that the legal system had failed them so completely that their only option was to solve the problem themselves. To understand why a town would conspire to kill a man, you have to understand who Ken McElroy was. He wasn't just a petty criminal, he was a reign of terror in a denim jacket.
Every small town has a tough guy, though. What made this guy so different?
McElroy was a professional predator. He dropped out in the 8th grade, couldn't read or write, but he was a genius at manipulating the law. Over 2 decades, he was indicted 21 times for everything from arson and cattle rustling to child molestation and statutory rape.
21 indictments? How was he not behind bars for life?
He had a top-tier lawyer and a foolproof strategy: witness intimidation. If you were brave enough to testify against Ken, he'd show up at your house at night. He'd park his truck in front of your business and just stare. People would suddenly lose their memory or move out of state before the trial started.
So he basically held the entire county hostage through pure psychological warfare.
Exactly. He'd walk into the local bar, the D&G Tavern, with an M1 Garand rifle and a bayonet just to remind everyone that the rules didn't apply to him. He was the tough guy who couldn't be touched. The breaking point came in July 1980. It started over a piece of candy. McElroy's wife got into an argument with the 70-year-old local grocer, Ernest Bo Bowenkamp.
Don't tell me he shot a 70-year-old man over a piece of candy.
He did. McElroy confronted Bo outside the store and shot the elderly man in the neck with a shotgun. Miraculously, Bo survived, and for the first time in history, the town stood firm. Bo testified, and McElroy was actually convicted of second-degree assault.
Finally, the system actually worked.
For about 5 minutes, McElroy's lawyer got him out on bond pending an appeal. He went right back to Skidmore, sat in his truck outside Bo's store, and waved guns at people. He even threatened to finish the job with the minister.
Wait, so the town finally catches him, and the judge just lets him go home to finish the people off? No wonder they were panicking.
That panic turned into a plan on July 10, 1981. That morning, the townspeople held a meeting to discuss how to protect themselves since the police couldn't. While they were meeting, McElroy and his wife, Trenna, pulled up to the D&G Tavern like he owned the place.
He was walking right into the lion's den.
He finished his drink and walked out to his Chevy Silverado. As he backed out, the crowd from the meeting surrounded the truck. Suddenly, shots rang out from at least 2 different directions. McElroy was hit in the head and died instantly.
And his wife? Trenna was right there in the passenger seat?
She was inches away, but she wasn't hit. She looked up and saw the faces of the people she'd lived near for years. She even named a local man, Del Clement, as one of the shooters.
Okay, so there's your witness. If the wife saw it and named names, how is this case still unsolved?
Because everyone else, dozens of people, told the exact same story to the investigators. They said they heard a noise, they ducked, and when they looked up, Ken was dead. They didn't see a shooter, they didn't see a gun, and they didn't want to talk about it ever again.
It's essentially a Western, right? The townspeople taking out the outlaw because the sheriff can't.
It's the ultimate moral gray area. On one hand, you have a cold-blooded murder committed in public. On the other, you have a community that was being terrorized for 20 years by a man the law refused to stop.
It's terrifying because if the law doesn't protect you, you're basically back in the Stone Age where the strongest or the most numerous win.
Precisely. The legacy of Skidmore is this chilling question. Does a community have the right to defend its own existence if the state fails to do so? This case became a book called In Broad Daylight and a movie starring Brian Dennehy. It's studied in law schools and psychology classes today because it's a perfect example of a conspiracy of silence.
Did the town ever regret it? Did the guilt tear them apart?
If it did, they didn't show it to the outside world. Most of the people there that day took the secret to their graves. The town simply went back to being a quiet farming community, just without the shadow of Ken McElroy hanging over it.
What's the one thing to remember about Ken McElroy?
His story is a grisly reminder that when the legal system fails to provide justice, a desperate community might just decide to provide its own.
That's Wikipedia, every story on demand. Search your next topic at wikipedia.ai.